across the Illawarra, South Coast and Southern Highlands. This is Win News.
Tonight, frontline health heroes stretch to the limit as the region records a new COVID case. Fire destroys a much-loved family business, but the owners vow to rebuild. And high-flying jobs take a hit as aviation workers are grounded. Good evening, I'm Bruce Roberts. Also tonight, the documentary shining a light on the changing face of swampland near the National Park and the demise of animal populations. Shellharbour has recorded its first COVID case in months, dashing hopes of an early release from lockdown. It comes as more positive patients are transferred to Wollongong from southwest Sydney, putting extra pressure on our health workers.
More COVID patients transferred to Wollongong while ambulances sat in bed block.
For them to be stuck in a hospital setting for hours on end is just not giving them the opportunity of exercising and practising their highly qualified skill set. So that's really important.
Win News understands 3 more patients were transferred from southwest Sydney around 6 p.m. last night. But despite the local health district previously claiming to update the number of incoming cases,
are you going to be disclosing the information about how many patients we're receiving from Sydney each day?
Look, we're quite happy, but I think the reality is the more thing is we want to focus our attention on caring for these people.
Today, they couldn't confirm numbers or comment on service disruption. The health services union's concerned with local resources already stretched. The process needs to be improved.
If anything again has come out of COVID, we've got to look through the flow through a hospital, that the hospital has capacity to accept people and get people out of hospital at the right time, but also to be able to care for people in acute or chronic settings.
It's believed there are now 10 people in Wollongong Hospital from the overflow of southwestern Sydney. The COVID ward and ICU almost at capacity as the region watches daily case numbers rise. Today there was confirmation of the first positive case in Shellharbour in months.
The person works in Greater Sydney and travels down to Shellharbour. The person's household, who lives in a disconnected household, is being tested as a precaution.
Contact tracing is now underway, but no new venues of concern have been officially named. On Facebook, Warilla Grove confirmed a positive case had visited last Saturday. There was no more clarification on the case from Nowra, closing the NAB yesterday.
A case in Nowra. I haven't been advised about a case in Nowra.
It comes as Shellharbour City Council unanimously voted to request the data explaining why the LGA is included in the lockdown. Any hope of an early release now surely put to bed.
Suffice to say, nothing will be eased at all before the 28th of August. So if I could make that very clear.
Killy Royal, Win News.
And in news just to hand, New South Wales Health has updated its list of casual exposure sites, including 4 shops at Warilla Grove and another 2 stores at Shellharbour. They can be found on the health website. As our state grapples with spiralling COVID case numbers, health officials have called in interstate contact tracing reinforcements. Canberra's disease detectives only too happy to help.
For many of us, tuning into Gladys Berejiklian's 11am press conference and all-important COVID case update has become a habit.
We had 344 cases to 8 p.m. last night of community transmission. Around at least 65 of those were infectious in the community.
For Tim Sloan Gardner and Al Gomez, staying up to date is a job requirement.
Hi, this is Alf, calling on behalf of New South Wales Health.
Often we're the first to tell people they've got COVID. That can happen, and it's not always the case, so it can be a bit of a shock, us calling us, but in most instances people know why we're calling. They know that they're a household contact, or they know that they're being tested and they had symptoms, so they're really waiting for that phone call.
The pair have made thousands of those calls in recent weeks after New South Wales put the call out for interstate case investigators and contact tracers.
We just try to help as much as we can because, again, it's all about trying to help others and suppress COVID-19.
The introduction of QR codes and mandatory check-ins has made their track and trace efforts a lot easier.
We can look through it and go, OK, you've been here, you were here, who were you with? So it's been of great assistance to us and speeds up the whole process as well.
But it remains a high-pressure environment with no room for error.
Just a sheer volume of exposure sites and the numbers that you are seeing in New South Wales, it is concerning.
The ACT hasn't recorded a locally acquired case in over a year, but Mr Gomez insists the experience is a win-win.
Based on our recent experiences with New South Wales calls, I think we can improve some of our systems and some of our processes.
Emma Groves, Win News.
Fire has ravaged Dame Much-loved Shoalhaven business, crushing the family that spent years building it up. The owners of JB Stock Feeds are devastated but determined to continue on, driven by the community that knows and loves them.